Alright, so this video, I'm just really excited to bring this one to you. So if you are someone who has a niche, who's on their phone all the time, like plumbers, home renovation businesses, etc., or real estate businesses, this video is gonna help you a lot. Because in this video, I'm just gonna pull back the curtains and show you exactly how we did cold calls. So my name is Assam, and I run an agency and we book appointments for our clients. And we usually book 120 appointments per specific client. Okay, so this video that you're gonna watch is gonna essentially show you how we did that, so that way you can literally just copy and paste that entire thing in your own agency. So you can just pick up the phone, do what we did, and book those many appointments. I'm pretty sure you won't need 120, but like if you could just book 40 or 60 appointments, this system is definitely going to help you do that. Okay, so if you don't know who I am, I'm Sam. I run an agency. We set appointments for our clients, and the video you're about to watch is one of the videos from our paid programs from the Cold Calling OS module. And this video is just like it's just gonna blow your mind, right? By the end of this video, you're gonna know exactly how to book that many appointments for yourself. So if you're listening to this or watching this and you're like, how do I book 120 appointments? That's just too much for me. I'm going to show you exactly how, okay? Because we did that and it was not hard, okay? It's not that like you need to do more calls. It's just like you need to do them properly, okay? And I'm gonna just discuss that throughout this video. This is one of my favorite videos. So yeah, let's not ramble anymore. Let's cut the clip and let's get into the video. All right, bye.
Hey everyone, it's Hassam here, and welcome to the Perfect Cold Call in the Cold Call OS module. This is going to be the most important video in this entire module. Okay, I would suggest that you watch this video more than 2 times, because in this video we are going to go through why people actually convert in this system, why people actually decide to like listen to someone on a cold call for like 5 minutes and then book a call with them. Like, why does that happen? Okay. And if you watch this video till the end, and if you do as I say, watch it like more than 2 times, you're gonna crush it. Like, because like everything is discussed in this video. Like everything that you could be overlooking while cold calling, every single thing that you might not know while cold calling, everything is discussed. Okay, so here's what we're going to cover: the protective shell, persuasion fundamentals, HRA persuasion tenets, the gap, the 4 personalities, memorable first impressions, and then the fear of calling. Okay, so we have a long one here in front of us, so let's get right into this. So here's a neat Google document here, which is gonna take us through this entire video, and let's get into this, okay? So welcome to the Perfect Cold Call. This video explains the fundamental principles of making a good cold call consistently every single time, okay? This video will describe behaviors that you can emulate and book tons of appointments. Okay, so I'm not gonna like talk about woo-wah stuff and like stuff that like, oh, you gotta like persuade them this way, you gotta have this tone and empathetic tone. I'm not gonna say that, okay? I'm gonna tell you the behaviors that you can literally do today and the behaviors that you can literally change today to get the outcomes, okay? I'm not gonna talk in like amorphous terms, which are like harder to understand for all of us. I'm gonna make this so simple that you, by the end of this video, you will know exactly what to do, like in behaviors. So the next cold call you make is gonna be exponentially different than the one you're doing right now, if you're doing it the wrong way, okay? So if you are someone who has fear around cold calling, this video will also help you completely delete that fear forever, okay? So like, as I said, we're gonna get into everything. So let's discuss the protective shell first, okay? So most humans are naturally closed off speaking with someone they don't know, right? Obviously. So this is a protective mechanism. We can call this the protective shell. Like prime example, let's say you go somewhere and everyone there is a stranger. You are less likely to talk to people that you don't know. You would sort of feel like your guard would be up, and like you would like talk to less people and you wouldn't be yourself completely, right? Most people are that way. I'm not saying everyone is that way, because some people are naturally opened up to strangers, and that's like someone has that naturally. So If someone doesn't relate to you in any domain, then they will find it harder to open up. This is very important. Okay, very important. So if you go somewhere and everyone there relates to you in a specific domain, then you will talk to more people there. Let's say you're a business person and you go to a event where like a lot of business people are coming that are like operating the business in your specific niche. Obviously, you're going to talk to most of them, right? So like if you don't have anything that relates with the other person, you're less likely to speak to them. Okay. Just like we discussed in the acquisition intensifier video, the HRA 7 pillars of trust, right? So I'll give you an example. You talk to strangers at a party because you relate with them on some level, right? Let's say you go to a party. You're in high school. You go to a party, and a lot of like people there are like your age group, or like they relate to you in some level. Like they maybe watch the same shows as you or stuff like that, right? So if you don't relate to a specific person in any domain, then you will not talk to them. Okay. Another thing, we don't talk to everyone in the party. We only tend to talk to people that we find some sort of interest in. This is really important. Like this is something I need you to like see differently, because this is a shift. Like because humans don't just like aren't just humans aren't just closed off to speaking with every stranger. They do speak with strangers, but only the ones that they're interested in or relate with. As like obviously we discussed in the acquisition intensifier video. But this is like a step ahead from that. Okay. So if you're new to cold calling and you're speaking with a stranger, you will have a pull away from them because of this phenomenon. Okay. And it's completely natural. Okay. So everyone has a protective shell around them when they're speaking to a stranger, if they don't know them. Okay, even if you relate to them, there will be some sort of shell. You won't just open up from the first conversation. Okay, and that's natural. Okay, we all have that, and like it's completely okay to feel that. Okay, now we're gonna discuss how to get rid of that further along this video. But before that, let's discuss how to make the other person be comfortable speaking to us and have them put their guard down. Okay, so all we're trying to do is to get them out of their protective shell. Okay, so when both of you are strangers, both of you are in your shell. You're in your shell, they're in theirs. Okay, you just gotta get them out of their shell, and you gotta come out of yours, so that way you both can open up and have a productive conversation. Okay, so this is just what's happening in like both of you guys' mind, and it's unconscious. Okay, so humans like speaking with people who are warm, genuine, and active listeners, offering a 50-50 balance of conversation. This comes in handy when speaking to strangers on a call. Okay? So we can literally like break this down into behaviors, so that way you know what to do to make the other person come out of their protective shell. Okay? So we need to be able to engage them and make them open up. And here's how to do it. So below are the 7 principles that we use in order to have an engaging conversation that makes the other person open up. And you can use this everywhere, like speaking to a stranger in real life, like talking to, like approaching a girl, or like speaking to a business person, everywhere. So these apply everywhere, because these are stuff that every human has, and these are like foundational stuff, like first principles. Okay, so if a stranger would have to find someone warm and genuine, these are the behaviors that they would need to have. Okay? Active listening and presence. They listen without interrupting, and are fully engaged. So if you're listening to them and you're actually paying attention, you're actually like nodding your head, repeating what they say, and like making them feel like you are actually listening to them, then that gets them to open up, rather than just waiting for their turn to speak. So if you've had a conversation with a normal person before, what they're doing is just like they're listening to you, and then they're not fully listening. They're just like thinking what they're going to say next, and then they're just like waiting for their turn to speak. That's what's happening, and you can feel it when someone does that. And this just like makes people close off emotionally, and it's just not good. Okay, so don't do that. And like in cold calling, a lot of people do this as well. Is like they have a script, and when the lead or the prospect is speaking, they're just like they're not listening fully. They're just like waiting for their turn to move on with the script. And like if you do that, people can feel it. Okay. So yeah, stop doing that. Okay. This is this also means sometimes you might have to be dynamic with your script, right? So like it's not like with this module, if there's something really important I want you to take away is that cold calling is not following a script that works. Okay, I'm going to say this again. Getting good results with cold calling is not following a script that works. Getting good results with cold calling is following a framework that works and then adapting to every single lead, but staying within the framework. Okay? Very important. So, next one, let's go to the next pillar. Genuine warmth and kindness. They're friendly, polite, and display genuine interest in the other person, which can feel validating and kind, right? People want to be validated, right? People want to feel like someone's listening to them, someone gives a shit about them, right? So you're not just trying to sell them stuff, you're interested in their business, what problems they have, and once you find a problem, then and only then you tell them about your offer. Very important. You find a hole first and then you fix that hole. Okay? Next one. Balanced dialogue. They aim for an equal conversation, game of tennis, rather than just a monologue, allowing for back and forth flow. So, you're not speaking the most on this call, okay? You're just like asking questions and you're getting them to speak a lot, okay? And we're gonna get into this in a moment, but like I want you to understand this. You are not the one speaking. You are not getting on the call and just like rambling and pitching them on how your product is like the best in the world and every specific detail about your product. You're not doing that. You're getting them to say this stuff, okay? So that's how, like, I wouldn't even say that it's like a 50-50 sort of split. It's not an equal conversation. It's like they're speaking more. I would say it's more like 40-60 or like 30-70 split, where like you're speaking less, they're speaking more. Okay? Next one. Optimism and humor. This is a big one. Okay? They're cheerful, they're positive, they're lighthearted, and they make the interaction enjoyable, right? And you're not judging them as well, which is really annoying because like you ever had someone like you open up to and then they just judge you for opening up? So annoying, man. Like just don't do that. Like no one likes to speak to someone who's judging them. And if you do that, then people just close off emotionally, and that's not what we want, right? Because like you might have had partners before, like I've had them, trust me, like where you open up to them and they just judge you for it, and then you're like you just close off again, and then you just don't share stuff with them again, and which is not good, right? So like we don't want to be judging them. We want to be coming across as cheerful, positive, and lighthearted, and we also want to be objective. Okay, we don't want to be like cheerful about their problems, right? If they have a problem, we got to be interested in that. We got to be curious in that. We got to be like, okay, shit. Like, I wouldn't say shit. You got to be like, okay, damn. Like, that's really tough, man. Like, has that problem affected you in any way? Oh yeah, it's been like very fearful for me and X, Y, and Z, and I've like been very stressed. And then you show empathy and stuff, and then be like, oh man, really sorry to hear that, man. So like with this problem, man, how long have you been struggling this with? And then you keep going down that rabbit hole, okay? You aren't just positive all the time, right? You gotta adapt to the situation and you gotta be genuine, okay? You gotta listen to the situation and adapt, right? Curiosity and openness. They ask open-ended questions, show curiosity about the other person's life, and are non-judgmental. This is a big one. You gotta seem non-judgmental, as I said, because if you start judging them, then they will just close off emotionally, right? And stop sharing stuff with you and probably just hang up, right? So never judge someone on a cold call. Like in real life as well, like stop judging people. That's the biggest lesson I've learned. But I'm not gonna get into like judgments and stuff in this video. But like yeah, the biggest needle mover thing in my life, mindset, everything wise, was just I just stopped judging people, and that's really helpful. So yeah, be curious and be open. Ask open-ended questions. Okay, don't ask yes and no questions. Like, you don't ask them, okay, has that problem affected you in any way? They're probably gonna say yes, it has affected me. What else did you expect? You don't ask that. You ask, how has that problem affected you in any way? Like, how has that problem affected you? So that way they're going to tell you how instead of just a yes and no question answer, right? Instead of just a yes and no answer, right? Next one. This is big. This is very big. Authenticity. They are genuine and honest. People tend to trust those who seem authentic rather than fake, right? So it's really important that you're not like faking stuff to them because like people can tell, right? Like if you're being dishonest, people can tell. We're humans, man. Like we're trained for thousands and millions of years to actually sniff that out if someone's bullshitting us or not. Like we have a very good bullshit meter, okay? So like don't be fake, just be yourself, just like be honest with them. Like if you don't have any case studies, be honest with them, right? Don't lie to them. If you don't feel like your product can help them, don't tell them that it can, right? Next one, no ego. Like this, all of these are like big, like big things, man. Like I see a lot of people mess this up. Like I want to say this: if you are in business, your ego is dead. Like you don't have an ego, essentially. Like there is no ego. Okay, if you are in business, I'm gonna say this again: your ego is dead. Okay, it was dead on the first day you started this business, and if it's not dead, then it should be because it is the reason that you are in a position where you are right now. Okay, so if you think about a billionaire or a millionaire, do you think they're gonna have like a big ego, or do you feel like they're gonna be humble? Fairly obvious, right? So you gotta start acting like them. I see a lot of these people, man, and like I talk to them on a regular basis as well. They just have this big ego. They're like, oh, why would I make cold calls? I'm better than it. Like, I want people to come to me. And then turns out they don't have any clients, or like they have like only 5 clients or something, and they're not making enough money, and they want people to come to them. I'm like, look, man, you want people to come to you. Why would they come to you? Like, why? You have 5 clients, man. Like, let's get honest here. You've been waiting for people to come to you for a long time now, and it's clearly not working, right? And that's not something to laugh at. That's just the truth. Okay, so you gotta put your ego down and see the thing for what it is instead of what you want it to be, and stop being delusional and lose your ego because there is no reason you should have an ego. Because if a billionaire is humble and doesn't have an ego, like look at Warren Buffett, look at Bill Gates. Like I'm just talking to myself here because like I've struggled with this a lot. Like I had a lot of ego in the beginning, and it was like sort of hard for me to like humble myself and reject myself, like which I'm very good at now. Like I'd like to say I'm very humble now, and I like um practice that very often. But like in the beginning, it was just like I was like, why would I like I'm better than these guys, right? And I just had to walk myself through this, and it helped me. It held me back for a long time, and I just don't want that for you. Okay, so just like because no one benefits from this, right? You have an ego, and like let's say you feel like you're better than the person you're calling. Sure, now what? Like you can go and feel better about yourself, or you can put your ego down, be humble, and still talk to that person and make money, right? I've heard this from a mentor, and he said to me like, you can either be right or you can be rich, and yeah, it's your decision, right? These kind of people, they have no ego while calling the person, and they're also aware of the other person's ego and are actively trying not to hurt it. This is very important. You got to be like actively looking for actively you got to be actively trying not to hurt the other person's ego, because that's very important. Okay, because like let's say you say something about their systems and it hurts them, they're probably going to hang up, right? And we don't want that. It's really important. Okay, so following these are essential. Now I know I went on a big rant on like how you should not have an ego, but that was important. Okay, and like I want you to like do this properly, and that's how you're gonna get the results. Okay, I really want you to win. Okay, and that's the only reason I'm so passionate about this stuff. Okay. So, following these are essential. Do not seem like another salesperson trying to pitch them. If they find out that you're just trying to pitch them and following a script, then they will turn off emotionally or hang up. Okay, very important. The goal is to have a conversation with them like a normal human and control the conversation in a direction where the appointment happens as a result of you guys speaking. And we're going to get into like how to control this stuff, but like you got to keep this in mind. You got to portray it as a normal conversation, and to them it's just like you're just reaching out and finding a problem and showing them how your solution can help them solve that problem, and the appointment is just like a, a consequence of you guys speaking essentially. Okay, this way you will have frameworks for each situation, not scripts for each call. Very important. This frees you from the structured script approach where they can tell that you're reading from a script, which makes them close off emotionally. And you just don't want that, you know? Because if they close off emotionally, obviously they're probably going to hang up or they're just going to lie to you about their problems, right? Which is not something we want, right? So we will be discussing on how to create these frameworks for your cold calls in further videos along this module. But right now, let's discuss how to control the conversation and make sure it's going in the right direction. Okay? So let's discuss about persuasion fundamentals. Okay? Persuasion at first principles means cause someone to do something through reasoning or argument. Now this is very important because you're not telling stuff to them, you're getting them to say the right things, which makes them to take action and convert. Okay? Very important. You're not telling them stuff, you're getting them to say it. Okay? So I'll give you an example. So let's say there is something that needs to be said for them to realize something. Let's say your leads are relying on referrals, and you want them to understand that referrals are not consistent, and your system, your product, brings consistency in their business by giving them leads consistently, for example. Okay, so you go to them, you ask them, okay, what are you doing to get more leads at the moment? And they're going to be like, oh, we're just relying on referrals. We're just like relying on referrals. 2 referrals come in every month, and we're just good with that. And then you probe in. You're like, okay, what you're doing is like you know where you want to take the conversation. You know where you want to take it. Like you want to take it to a place where like they tell you the referrals are not consistent and they need something that's consistent for their business. You know where you want to take that, right? Then what you do is ask questions that gets them to say this stuff. Okay, so you just ask them like, okay, so you everything is relied on referrals, correct? Oh yeah, everything is completely referrals based and like nothing else. And then you're like, okay, so what's the goal? Like, where do you guys want to be? Oh, we're doing 100K per month, and we want to get to a million. We're doing 100K a year, and we want to get to a million a year. And you're like, okay, so why not just like increase the referrals and like close that many jobs? And then they're probably gonna laugh, and they're gonna be like, oh, because like we cannot like predict referrals, and we cannot just increase that. It's not a tap, right? And then you're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, got it, completely got it. So like, would you say that if you guys had like a system that could actually get you jobs consistently on demand, that would surely help to get to that 1 million? And they're probably gonna say yes, right? So that's how you sort of navigate this stuff. Okay, you know which direction you want to take the call in, and then you ask questions that gets them to say stuff that takes them in that direction. Okay, so you know what things need to be said to make them move forward and take action. Now, you need to ask questions that make them say it. That's the core principle I want you to keep in mind. Okay, you're not telling them stuff, you're getting them to say it by asking questions. Okay, so you're in control of the conversation, but the prospect feels like they're in control of the conversation just because people think that if they're the one talking more, that means they're in control. Not true, okay? If someone's speaking more, that means they're dumb in most circles, right? It doesn't mean that they're controlling the conversation at all. Like ever. Okay, and most people think that that's true, but it's just wrong. Okay, so I'll give you a perfect analogy here. Okay, imagine that you and the prospect are in a boat, and you are behind the prospect, and the prospect is rowing the boat from the front. Okay, this is the prospect, this is you behind him, and you from behind the prospect are telling them which direction to go in. So from the outside, it looks like the prospect is in control of the direction, but in reality, you are the one controlling it. Okay, here's a visual for you. So you're just behind them, telling them where to go. Okay, go straight, then take a left, and he's just gonna like put the energy in. He's just gonna in the conversation, he's gonna put the words in, and he's gonna say stuff. And in this analogy, he's gonna put the energy in and take you where you want to go. So essentially, you are controlling the stuff. Okay? If this is not clear yet, don't worry. We'll be discussing this in detail throughout this video. So let's discuss HRA persuasion tenets. Okay? These are the rules that you need to abide by while running the system to persuade people tactfully. We call these the HRA persuasion tenets. Okay? So, first one, be vague. Give them as little information about what they ask. Okay, remember, we need them to be curious in order to book a call. We will be discussing this further in the video, but like, we need them to be curious because, like, the only reason someone books a call with you is because there is some stuff that they don't know about your product that they will know on the call. Okay, if they knew everything, they wouldn't need the call. They would already buy it or just tell you that they don't need it, right? So the only reason that the call is there is to give them that information. So you need to be vague so that way we have them curious, and if they're curious, they're gonna get they're gonna book the call and they're gonna show up to it. Okay. Second one, be laid back, chill, man. Like relax. You're just talking to humans, right? Understand their concerns, handle them without seeming pushy. Okay, come across as an understanding person who just gets them. When you do this, they're more likely to understand your perspective in return. Okay, because humans are reciprocal in nature. So if you understand someone's perspective, they're going to do the same. Because like you might have seen this like whenever, for example, I'll give you an example on my end. So like if you have friends that are closer to you and you, let's say you pay for them on let's say you guys go to a let's say you guys go for a dinner and you pay for them. Okay, what happens then is that person has a sort of like imaginary IOU in their head that they owe you something, even if you don't say to them, even if you just like pay for them and you don't discuss it at all, and you're like, oh, okay, it's fine, I'll just pay for you, no worries, cool. That person in their head feels like they owe you one, even if like they don't say it to you, and that's really powerful. Okay, this is how you get people to be there for you. This is how you like get in bigger circles. This is how you have friends who are doing better than you. You just have these IOUs where like you give first and then people owe you in return. That's how it works, and that's only because humans are reciprocal. And the way you use this in a cold call is by understanding their perspective, understanding them, not seeming salesy, so that way they understand your perspective in return. Say things like, "Oh, I completely understand your perspective, John. I get where you're coming from completely. And like, if I was in your situation, I would do the same. Like, completely get that. But can I share my perspective on this?" And then you share your perspective on it, right? Really, really important. Next one, assume nothing. This is a big one. I see this a lot in real life as well, with people as well. Like people just assume shit. They don't even know if it's true or not, and it like hurts them emotionally, which is so fucking dumb. And I used to do this for so long, right? So literally, do not assume anything they haven't explicitly said to you. If someone hangs up on you, you don't assume that they think that your voice is shit, because that's not true. They might just be busy, right? If someone hangs up on you when you say the opener, it doesn't mean your opener is shit. It can mean anything. It can mean that they're in the middle of something, or like their phone's battery died or whatever, right? You do not assume stuff ever. Okay? Next one. Don't assume that you can help them yet. Even if you and I know that you can help them solve their problem, and hence you're reaching out, obviously, we don't need to say this to them yet. Okay? This keeps them curious. As I said before, we need them to be curious and gets them to book a call and actually show up to the call. Okay, very important. So say things like, I'm not even sure we can help your specific business yet. And then position the call to get to know them more. And then you would be able to tell them if you can actually help them. Okay. Next one, be human. This is very important. Okay, talk like you're speaking with a friend, and use words you would commonly use with someone like them if they were your friend. So if you're speaking to contractors who are 50 years old, talk to them like a friend. Talk to them like as if they are someone who's 50-year old, who's like a 50-year-old, who's your friend, right? So if someone who was your friend and he was just 50-year-old, how would you speak to them, right? Use those words. Let's say you're reaching out to accountants and these are like females in their 40s. Speak to them like a friend. Like speak to them as if a 40-year-old woman was your friend, right? So use words like these. Bro, my brother, pet, mate, man, right? Next one, probe. Keep probing until you get to the root objection. Because if you don't know what the root objection is, then you're just handling a smokescreen objection. And if you know what a smokescreen objection is, it's just a lie. It's just a cover up that people tell you instead of the main objection. So if you're just handling a smokescreen objection, you're just solving the wrong problem, you know? So if someone tells you, oh, we just don't run ads, like ads don't work. And if you try to solve that and logic argue them by telling them, okay, ads work, this guy made ads work, X, Y, and Z, it's just not going to work. Because that's not the real objection, right? You need to probe deeper and be like, oh, why do you feel like ads don't work? And then they're going to tell you, oh, we worked with an agency before and they just messed up our ads and like wasted a bunch of money. Now you know that the objection is that they've been burnt in the past, not that they don't think ads don't work, you know? So very important. So you can try as hard as possible, but you won't be able to book them in unless you find the real objection. Okay? More on this further. So ask questions like, how do you mean? I don't understand. Can you explain a bit more? As I said, never assume stuff. Okay? Never assume stuff. Okay? Always probe and ask them what they actually mean. Because they might mean something completely different from what you think that they mean. You know? So always probe, always confirm what they mean. You know? Next one, ask questions. Keep the conversation flowing. Don't keep answering their questions. Ask a question after every response. Just throw it back to them, okay? Because the more questions you answer from them, the more questions they ask, and the less interest they have to book the call. Remember, it's all about them being curious and interested into seeing how you can help them. Okay? Not that you can help them, you know? They need to be curious. And the more questions you answer from them, the less curious they are, right? So, and another thing is just like if they keep asking you questions and you keep answering them, they keep asking more questions. It's a feedback loop, okay? And we don't want that, okay? So ask a question after every response. Throw it back to them. So if they ask you something, oh, how do you guys run ads? Oh, then you answer it in a vague way. Oh, it depends on like every single business. Obviously, like as you mentioned to me that like you guys were just relying on referrals. So for you guys, we'd be testing some new stuff here. But let me ask you this: have you tried ads before? Just like throw it back to them. You know. Next one. They need you versus you need them. This is very important. This is a key paradigm shift that I want you to have. And once I had this, it just completely changed the way I looked and the results that I got. Okay, this is very important. If you understand this, you're good to go. Because the fact that they need you, you don't need them. Because you can reach out to 100 leads after this, just like them, in the same position. But if they want to solve their problem, they only have you. Okay? So act like that while speaking to them. And obviously, I don't mean like have a big ego or stuff, but like act like it. Act like you're in for both of you guys. You're not just in in the call for yourself, you know? So from the bird's eye view, this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to find problems in their business that you can solve with your product specifically, okay? And then demonstrate how we can solve that with our product. Okay, so this is what a cold calling. This is what a cold call is, just from a bird's eye view. Asking questions to a human about their current situation, finding a problem in it, positioning your product as a vehicle for them to solve that problem, getting them to agree that your product will help them solve their problem. This is very important. And then positioning the appointment as a vehicle to show them how you would go about doing so. You know, how would you go about solving their problem, right? So this is what your call should look like. Okay. So you start the call, and then you tell them the reason for your call. Okay, I'm just calling from XYZ Marketing, and we do XYZ for XYZ for landscapers, and we've helped John from XYZ Landscaping. I'm just curious, find a hole in their business. Okay, and then try to fix that hole with them by telling them that you can help them solve that, and then ask permission to pitch. Okay, just like talk to them and just try to solve that problem with them. Just ask them what they've done to solve it, or like what are the numbers look like, what are the metrics, like how many leads are they getting, how many are they converting, stuff like that. And then you take permission to pitch, and after that you pitch them. Okay, and then after you've pitched them, you ask them if that would help them. Okay, so let's say you pitch someone for lead generation services, and then you're like, okay, we're going to get you the leads, we're going to book the estimates, and all you're doing is showing up to the estimates and closing. And after that, you ask them if that would help them. So you just be like, okay, John, so would that help you in any way? And then they're going to tell you, yeah, of course it's going to help me. And then you ask them, okay, in what way would it help you though? Then they'll tell you how that would help them. And then now they're just selling themselves on your product. As I said before, you're not telling them stuff, you're getting them to say the stuff. Okay, so if you pitch them for like a good 10 minutes, they're not going to give a shit. Okay, it doesn't change anything because you're just another salesperson pitching them their product. But if they tell you how your product is going to help them, then that is big. Okay, because now they're selling themselves about your product. Okay, so once you ask them if your product would help them, then you book the appointment. Okay, or you objection handle from there. And we're gonna go through how to go through this in further videos in this module. But this is like the cold call from a bird's eye view. Okay, so now let's discuss the gap, because the entire world's economy ticks on something we call the gap. It's created as a result of goals. And if we go back to the acquisition intensifier video, we know what goals are, what drives are, what desires are, pains, problems, right? We know this, okay? If you haven't watched the foundations module, you shouldn't be here, okay? Pause this video right now and go and watch that first, okay? So in life, people have a current situation and a desired situation for most aspects of their life. These situations typically revolve around health, wealth, relationships, and happiness. Every day, people wake up and buy things that help them escape their current situation and achieve their desired situation. Okay? Let's take you, for example. You bought this program to get more clients and make more money, right? That's your desired situation, probably. So, the gap between you right now, your current situation, and your desired situation of having as many clients as you want, or like getting to your goal, etc., is what we're referring to here as the gap. Okay, so the secret to cold calling is to position your product as a staircase for someone to climb and get to their desired situation. Okay, to sell well, your product should be a vehicle of change. We discussed this in previous modules, but I want you to know and understand that this is what you're selling. Okay, remember, you're not selling services, programs, or coaching. You're selling a bridge to a future desired situation that someone wants to be in. Okay? So this is what you're selling on the cold call. This bridge. That is the appointment, and on the sales call, this is your product. Okay? While making cold calls, we need to keep in mind that the person you're speaking with has a desired state that they want to get to and a current state that they want to get away from. The secret to appointment setting is to position the call as a staircase that the person can climb to bridge this specific gap. We're not selling clients, we're not selling appointments or money, as I said. We're selling a ticket from a point A, their current situation, to point B, their desired situation. Okay? This makes me come back to my previous point as to why they need you and you don't need them. Because deep down, they actually want someone like you to come in and solve their problem, right? Obviously, because they need their problem solved. Because they're in pain, right? Because of that problem, as we already discussed in previous modules. And you should know this. They're in pain because it's caused by the problem. And they want the pain caused by the problem to go away. So they actually need you, you know? So as we discussed in the acquisition intensifier video, people don't take action unless they're elicited to do so. You reaching out reminds them of pain caused by their problem. Okay, it just reminds them and brings it to the surface, right? Which is really important, you know? So now that you have that understood, let's discuss the 4 personalities. Okay? There are only 4 personality types that exist, and you will come across all of these while cold calling, some more than the others depending on your niche, right? So, identifying which type of person you're speaking with and then adapting your calls towards that type of person is essential for optimal results with this specific system, okay? No two business owners are the same, neither are their goals. Okay, very important. No two business owners are the same, neither are their goals. Okay? So, these are the personality types, okay? And this is a scale of less assertive to more assertive and less responsive to more responsive. So, amiable. This kind of person is relationship focused, trust orientated, and slow decision maker. Okay? So, how to sell these guys is you need to build rapport before pitching because he's a relationship focused person or she's a relationship focused person. You got to build rapport before pitching. You got to show empathy and avoid rushing them because, as I said, these are slow decision makers. Okay? So, an example while speaking to this type of person. I completely understand where you're coming from, John. A lot of my clients felt the same way before working with us. You know, um, this is the first one. The second one, analytical, data driven, cautious. They want proof before deciding. So, how to sell to these people is you provide evidence because they're data driven. They want case studies, logical reasoning, So, example, let me share the exact numbers from a project similar to yours, or like a client case study, or like a metric sheet, you know? This is what gets these guys to make decisions. They care about data, not relationships. Okay, so that's the analytical person, and this guy is more responsive than the amiable person. Okay, driver. These guys are more assertive, and they're more responsive as well. Okay, they're results focused, decisive, and competitive. And I'm sure like you can tell by like just by me going through these, you can tell like if you know people in your life, you obviously do. People in your life, which bucket do each one of them fit in? Right? You can definitely tell that. And this applies to like mostly business owners, but yeah, I think you can apply these to normal humans too, on some occasions. So how to sell to these people? Get to the point quickly and highlight results because they're results focused and they're competitive and they're decisive. They want to move fast. That's their thing. They don't want to wait. So, example, we can save you 12 hours a week and increase your revenue by 18% in 19 days. They want results fast. They're competitive. They just don't care about the relationship, right? Show them the data, tell them why it works, and they'll be like good to go. Okay, cool. And these people are like sometimes they find it harder to trust people sometimes, because I've dealt with a lot of them. I identify myself in as a driver, but like they do find sometimes harder to trust people. Okay, so it's like sometimes it's harder to gain their trust, but once you've gained their trust, then you're good. Like, but it's like harder to gain it though. That's the main thing. Expressive, creative, big picture thinkers. They value excitement. So how to sell to these people is you gotta match their energy, sell the vision, and avoid bogging them down with details. Example: imagine where you could be in 6 months if this worked exactly as you wanted to. You know, so it's, as you can see, like there is a different way to deal with all four of these people. And the main thing on a cold call that you're doing is you're finding out which one you're speaking to, and then adapting your call with towards that person. Okay, so here's how to identify them in the first 10 seconds of the call. Amiable person. So the first 10 seconds, they're going to be friendly, they're going to be soft spoken and relaxed, and they're going to be slow to warm up. They're going to be like very soft spoken, essentially. Now, what to listen for? Thank you for asking. Let me think about that. Quieter tone, taking time to respond. Okay, so this is how these people typically talk. Okay, in my experience at least. Um, the first 10-second behavior, they're polite, they're warm, they're often friendly. So they're often friendly. They make they may ask about you or show interest in building a relationship before discussing business. Okay, and you just got to go with that, right? And it's very like straightforward to like recognize who you're speaking to just based off of these sort of criteria here. Okay, next one: analytical, logic focused, and cautious. First 10 seconds, they're going to be reserved, they're going to be skeptical, and they're going to be precise. They're also going to be quiet. So you need to listen for how did you get this number? I need details. Let me see the data. And they're asking for very specific questions right away, you know? And they're closed off from the get-go. So they might not talk too much, or they may respond with direct, logistical questions. They rarely show high emotion in the first few seconds. These are not emotional people, so you cannot win them by being emotional, just like this guy here, you know? Driver. So first 10 seconds, they're going to be impatient, they're going to be efficient, they're going to be direct. They're not going to give a shit about any of that. They're going to be like, what is this call about? Okay, cool. Am I interested in that? Yes, no. That's it. They're going to be very direct, okay? The difference between this guy and this guy is very quiet. Like, this guy is slow to respond, skeptical, precise, very quiet. Sort of like someone you would feel like is scared, to like open up. That's how the analytical person is. They're not actually scared, but they come across as that. But the driver, he's not scared. They're not scared. He or she's not scared. She's just like, she doesn't care, right? They're just like, they're going to be efficient. They're not going to want to waste time. They're just going to be very direct with you. Okay. They're not going to be quiet. That's the main thing. So, what to listen for? I only have a minute. Get to the point. What's the price? They don't care about like how your day's going, nothing, essentially. So, the first 10-second behavior, they likely pick up, say their name or speaking quickly, and wait for you to deliver value immediately without small talk. The key to with dealing with these people is to like talk like them, essentially. Not Do not beat around the bush. Just tell them why you're here, why they should give a shit about the call. Essentially, that's what you're doing. Okay, with these guys, expressive, 10-second vibe. These guys are enthusiastic and big picture thinkers. Okay, so they're high energy, warm, enthusiastic, talking quickly. So like these people have a lot of energy, right? And these people just don't stop. So if you're dealing with one of these people, you got to be interrupting them a lot, like a lot, right? Because they're just gonna take you in tangents, and they're just not gonna like be controlled very easily. Because as you see here, we need to control this kind of person, and we need to be able to like steer the conversation. And if you're dealing with someone like this, they're just gonna keep speaking and keep speaking. Okay, so you got to be interrupting them more. Okay, so what to listen for? How are you doing today? That sounds interesting. Telling a story or talking about the big vision immediately. So they're gonna talk about a lot of fluff and a lot of stuff that's not important. This is like completely opposite to the driver, but like they're gonna talk about stuff that's not important and that's not helping you in the cold call. Okay, so you gotta interrupt them and move them back and get the call in the right direction again. Okay, so the first 10-second behavior, they're engaging, they're high energy, and often conversational. They may ask how you are and genuinely want to hear the answer, you know? So adapt your delivery to match theirs. As we discussed before, people trust those who feel like them. Okay, so you got to be adaptive here. Okay, so here's the checklist for you in the first 10 seconds. Is the pace fast? If yes, they're probably a driver or expressive. Is the pace slow? They're probably analytical or amiable. Is it task oriented? They're probably a driver or analytical. Okay, so now you know if it's fast paced and task orientated, then it's probably a driver. Is it people orientated? Then it's expressive or amiable. So now you know if it's slow and people orientated, then it's amiable. You know. So cool. So now let's get into memorable first impressions. Okay. So on a cold call, your first job is not to sell the product. Okay. It's to sell continued attention. If you lose their attention in the first 15 seconds, the rest of the call doesn't matter, you know, because they'll probably hang up. So, key points for your opening. You need to sound confident from the first word, okay? Use their name early. So, confidence comes from repetition. The more cold calls you make, the more confident you become. And confidence also comes from your product, from your client results, right? So these are sort of the three ways you can get confidence. You know. Next one, use their name early. Okay, personalize your speaking style to the personality type that you're speaking with. You know, match their tone immediately. Match their tone immediately. Have energy in your voice. Stand and call if possible. Okay, so if you're someone like who doesn't sound very energetic when you're speaking, stand and call. It helps a lot. I've tried it, and it's like very helpful. Okay, say aha, oh yeah. While they're speaking. So like whenever they're speaking, you don't just be silent while they're speaking. So let's say they're saying something, you just gotta be saying, oh yeah, I get that. Oh yeah, 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 I get what you mean. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So you just gotta say this stuff, okay? This also helps when you want to interrupt them while they're speaking. Okay, so let's say someone's just rambling on, if you just say and you're like speaking along with them, you can just interrupt them and just be like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Can you just elaborate on that for me specifically? Like you mentioned something interesting here, and then you can just get them to elaborate on that. You know what I mean? So it's like it's really helpful to say these filler words while they're speaking and not just be silent. This also shows them that you are actually listening and they're not just speaking on a phone, on a dead phone. You know what I mean? So it's really helpful. Okay. Another thing, smile while making the calls. Okay, crack a laugh amidst the call. Sometimes, right? So you might have seen me do this throughout this video as well. It's like I just I just like laugh in the middle, like I'm just while talking. What this does, it just like sort of whatever tension you have, it just like reduces the tension, right? So once you do these, your openings will become better and you will retain more people to continue the conversation with you on a cold call. Okay. Now, in order to get them through the line, you will also need to keep these in mind. Okay, these are also important. Mental framing. Go into the call to start a conversation, not to close. Very important. You shouldn't be attached to the deal. You shouldn't be attached to closing them on the spot. Okay, this lowers the pressure for both you and the prospect. Okay, so like I used to do this. Like I used to pressure myself to like close clients in the beginning when I was cold calling, and like I just wanted to close clients. And every call I was pressuring myself to like book the appointment or like close the client, which was like getting me worse results because like I was like fully pressured out, and it was just like bad. So just don't do that. Okay, micro commitments. Get small yes moments early, even to simple questions to build momentum. Okay, this is really helpful because like what happens is if they keep saying yes to you and if they keep saying yes to your questions, then it's like it builds momentum and it's like a feedback loop. Because let's say they've said yes to you before, they're more likely to say yes to you. And this is because the sunk cost fallacy. It's a thing in humans where, like, if we've already invested stuff in something before, even if that's not getting us returns, we still keep on investing in it just because of the fact that we've invested in it before. That's the sunk cost fallacy. So that's what's like happening here. Okay. So listening over talking. The more the prospect talks, the more information you have to work with. You know, pattern interrupts. Change the tone or pace mid call to recapture attention, or like crack a laugh or something, right? Um, okay. Pre- Prepared objections. Have confident conversational responses to the most common objections in your market. And we'll discuss this in further videos, okay? Call posture. Even though they can't see you, your body language affects your tone. Okay? Stand up, smile, move while you're speaking. This is gonna like increase your energy and the way you come across to them. Okay? Time awareness. Drivers and busy people will want to know why you're calling within seconds. Okay, so do not waste time with them. Okay, so while you're speaking to them, just get to the point, right? And it's going to be different for different personality types, as we discussed before. But like drivers, they need to know stuff as quickly as possible, and you gotta value their time. Okay, because if you don't value people's time, they're just gonna hang up. Okay. So now let's discuss fear of cold calling, because this is something very common in people who are starting to cold call, and they're in the beginning stages of cold calling, and they've never done it before. Okay, so fear in cold calling is mostly a fear of rejection. It's your primal sort of quote unquote monkey brain that can't differentiate between making a call and asking your crush on a date. That's what it is. Okay, and that's why, in the beginning, it's normal to be scared of making calls. What sets you apart is the fact that you make them, despite the fear. Very important. We control what we can. We cannot control the emotions that we feel, but we definitely control our actions. And luckily for you, you decided to invest in this program. So I'm going to show you exactly why this fear exists and exactly how to get rid of it. So, your brain is used to catastrophizing everything in your head and trying to relate that action to that, because everything that is new to it is just it's just like, I can't be bothered. I might as well just do stuff that I'm used to. I'll just do that. It's working. I'll just keep doing that. I don't want to like fuck with stuff that's not that I don't know if it's gonna work or not, because we might die, right? And it was useful to us in older times when a tiger might attack our entire family if we entered a specific area, right? Like, I go in that area, the tiger surrounds me, I have no way of escaping them. They chase me down, then I die, right? Fairly logical. As I said, this was very useful to us when humans lived in forests. But in today's day and age, there is no need for us to catastrophize stuff like this, right? We don't need to catastrophize stuff that doesn't harm us in any way. So your brain is applying the same logic for cold calling. It's saying, I make the cold call, everyone on the phone rejects me, I go down in the social hierarchy, then everyone stops being with me, I become alone, then I die. Right? And that's primal brain logic for you right there. Right? Now, you might be looking at this and smiling, but this is exactly what your brain thinks. And it genuinely believes that this is true. And there is no other way around it. Like, your brain seriously thinks that this is what's going to happen. Right? Because it's primal, right? That's in its nature. Right? So, in my experience, I found that the way you catastrophize stuff in your head is almost always worse than it actually turns out to be in real life. Okay? I heard this from a mentor, and they said fear is a mile wide and an inch deep. So, like, from the outside, you can see like there's a mile wide river, but when you step in that thing, you realize it's just an inch deep, that it's not even deep at all, right? That's fear. Like, unless you actually confront the fear, you're gonna feel like it's the worst thing in the world, and it's the worst thing ever, and you're gonna die if you do that. But like, once you do it, like, then you're good. So I'll give you an example of me going and speaking to my crush. So I'll give you an example. So like I think it was 1 year ago. I used to go to this gym, and I used to have a crush. And if you don't want to hear the story, you can just skip like 2 minutes and two minutes ahead. But like I think this is gonna be helpful. That's why I'm sharing it. So I had a crush on someone, and I was in the gym, and I had a crush on them for like 3 months straight. And in my head, I was thinking, okay, I need to go and speak to them, because if I don't speak to them, there's no way we're gonna be close at all, right? So the reason I did not go and speak to them was, in my head, I was thinking this. This was the logic that I told myself. I was like, I go and speak to them, they reject me, and then their friends and their friends make fun of me, and then they laugh, and then they tell other people that I did this thing, and then they stop speaking to me, and then everyone stops speaking to me, and then I go down the social hierarchy, and then everyone stops being with me, and then I become alone, and then I die. Right? So that's how my primal brain showed me that if I spoke to this girl, I might die. And that's so fucking dumb, you know? And then I thought through this rationally, which I'm going to get you to think in a moment. But like, then I thought through this rationally. I was like, okay, let's say I do go and speak to them. What happens then? Let's say they do reject me. What happens then? Well, then, like, maybe their friends would, maybe they'll tell their friends, and then I'm like, why would they tell their friends? Like, what? That doesn't even make sense. And then I was like, okay, let's say they do tell their friends. Then what? Then they'll tell everyone else. And then I was like, what? That's so fucking. That doesn't even make sense. Like, if you actually think about it, let's take another example. Let's say the cold calling example. Let's say you go and make cold call. Let's say everyone rejects you. Let's say everyone rejects you. Then what? You seriously think that you will go down the social hierarchy just because you made cold calls and everyone rejected you? No, no. You know, like, most of these steps, they don't even make sense. They just make sense to your primal brain because it just catastrophizes everything. You know? So, like, I did go and speak to them, and we did get in a relationship, and like, it was all good, right? And that relationship wouldn't have happened if I didn't go and speak to them. And once I did go and speak to them, it just felt so nice to like overcome this fear and realize that this was just nothing. It was just my head playing games with me, right? So I'm going to say this again because I think this is the most important part of this section. It's normal to be scared of making calls. What sets you apart is the fact that you make them despite the fear. Okay? We control what we can. We can't control the emotions that we feel, but we definitely control our actions. Okay? So let's say someone's like, oh, I just don't feel motivated enough, and I just don't feel like that feeling to do the cold call. So I'm just like gonna take 5 days off, and yeah, I'm just gonna take 5 days off and wait until I actually feel like making cold calls. Well, you can go and do that, but what I will do in the meantime is I will control my actions, I will make the cold calls, and then throughout the 5 days that you have rested, I will book 3 appointments every single day. And at the end of the 5 days, I would have conducted 15 calls and probably have closed 3 new clients. And I would have 3 clients by the end of those 5 days, and you probably would still be waiting to feel good about cold calling, which you never will. Okay? So, now that we know why this fear exists, let's discuss how to get rid of it. So, getting rid of this fear boils down to logic. If the primal brain has an argument that is based in logic, which is outdated and false, we defeat that logic with the truth. So I'm gonna like get you to see the truth for what it is, okay? So action item. So right now, get a pen and paper. You should be taking notes anyway, but go get a pen and paper right now, okay? And then ask yourself these questions and write the answers on the paper, okay? Pause the video right now and then ask yourself these questions. And this exercise works in any other domain apart from cold calling too. Okay, so if you're struggling or if you're fearful of doing something else apart from cold calling, this is going to help you there too. So let's say you're let's say you're scared of like going and talking to that girl you always wanted to talk, or that guy you always wanted to talk, or like you're fearful of making that business decision, or you're fearful of making that investment because you've never made it before. It works with everything. Okay, so just go through this exercise. Why am I scared of making cold calls? There is a reason. And then you ask, why is that? And then you ask why again, why again, why again. You ask why 5 times, because when you ask this, you're probably gonna get like a surface level reason that's like not even true. You're probably gonna be like, oh, I just don't feel like it. I don't know, you know. And we don't want that. So you gotta ask why 5 times, and this is called Socratic reasoning, whereby we find the core reason of something and why it is existing, and then we like sort of fix the core reason instead of the like surface level thing. Okay, so right now ask yourself these questions, and you might have to ask why 6 times, 7 times. Okay, but like unless you get to the core reason as to why you are scared or like why you're fearful of making cold calls, do not stop. Okay, and I'm going to give you an example as to like what the core reason looks like of about myself, so you know what you're looking for. But like keep asking why, and then you'll get there. Okay, then you'll find a root reason that is holding you back from making calls. It will take at least a couple hours of thinking to root this out. So it's not just going to be like a quick 10-minute thing that you can just come up with in like 10-15 minutes. It's not going to be that. It's probably going to take more than 2-3 hours. Okay, because most times you don't even know why you're scared of cold calling because it's unconscious. Okay, we need to bring that up to the conscious mind to be able to see it for what it is. Okay, so here's an example for myself. I remember I used to be scared of making cold calls initially, like everyone. After I did this exercise, this is what I found. So as a child, I was rejected a lot. I was bullied, I had no female attention, I was fat, and I didn't have any friends, which was like a lot of rejection for a child. This was trauma, which was sitting in my unconscious mind. Okay, it was just sitting there. Now, now that I'm an adult, I've fixed all of these. So like right now, I'm good. Like, I don't get bullied. I have female attention now. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm like very fit, and I do have a lot of friends too. So I've like fixed all of these now. So convincing my brain to cold call was convincing it to go back to the childhood situation of being rejected by everyone, because your brain cannot tell the difference between um, you making cold calls or you being in this situation where like everyone's rejecting you, because to it everything is the same. Like both of these are the same. Like in both of these scenarios you're getting rejected, right? So it's just like connecting both of them. Okay, so when you go through this exercise you will find something similar. The key is to rationalize to yourself that it's not true. Okay, so how do you do that? So to do that, just look at the answers on the paper that you've written from these questions, okay? And then ask yourself these questions. And you answer these on the paper as well. So ask yourself this: is this true at all? Like, is this true that if I make a cold call, I'll go back to being this person here? No. So you answer that. Have I seen someone from my eyes make cold calls and get this outcome that my primal brain is thinking? So have I seen someone from my eyes, not like heard, but like I've seen someone from my eyes make cold calls and get in this situation back again? The answer is probably going to be no. Okay, unless you're like, oh, I watched this YouTube videos. They don't apply unless you've literally seen them from your eyes, like in real life. Then you say yes to this. If not, it's probably going to be no. Was there anyone who made cold calls every day and got the life that they wanted? Definitely yes. Like, of course they have, right? A lot of people have, right? I remember I used to make cold calls in the beginning, you know? So, do I get better after this or worse? Like, ask yourself this: do you get better after this or worse? Like, will you learn skills that you'll be using for the rest of your life? Or will you just be rejected for no apparent reason? It's probably going to be the first one. Like you will be better, right? You will learn skills. Like cold calling is like very good. Like if I could wish anything to someone who's like starting out, or like someone who's bad at sales, or like a beginner, I I just want them to make cold calls. Because like that just skyrockets everything. Okay. And cold calling just gives you a lot of skills, man. Like I'm so grateful that I did cold calling in the beginning of my journey. Like very grateful. If I didn't do cold calls, I don't know where I'd be today, man. Like seriously. So once you've asked yourself these and have answers on a paper to these questions, then you will be looking at a reason as to why you're fearful of making cold calls and why that reason is not true. Okay? So the more you tell yourself the truth, the more likely you are to believe it just through mere exposure due to the illusory truth effect. And it's just like something that exists. It's just a phenomenon where like the more you tell yourself something, the more likely you are to believe it, even if it's the wrong thing, right? And that's how like most people get you to believe their stuff, even if it's false. Like you see their ads again and again, you see them say that stuff again and again, and if you just keep doing that for long enough, you just believe that that's the truth, you know. So that's how you like rewire it to like believe that that's wrong. Here's the truth. This is it's not going to take me back to this situation. It's just going to be cold calling. It's going to give me skills, etc. You know. So with that being said, be laid back and relax and be yourself. Okay, it's very important to be yourself. I remember like when I was cold calling initially, I was just trying to be this sort of like salesperson where like a persuasive guy who just persuades everyone and this like attractive, charismatic person and bullshit. Just don't do that. Just don't. Just be yourself, man. Like just be yourself. Follow these principles that I've discussed in this video and just be yourself. Okay? And do not close emotionally. Speak as if you're speaking to a friend. Because if you do so, they will become your friend. They're human, man. They're not fucking like they're not demons, right? They're not going to kill you. They're just a human, right? Speak as if you're speaking to a friend, and you might as well make one. You know. So put your guard down, and they will do the same in return. Remember, humans are reciprocal in nature. So if you have your guard up while speaking to them, it will put their guard up as well, which is not something we want. You know. Okay. So that's the video. Okay. So let's summarize everything we discussed. We discussed the protective shell, whereby we know that strangers, when they go and speak to strangers, they have their protective shell on, and it we need to get people out of their shell here, so to make them open up and to make them share their problem. Okay. Then we discussed persuasion fundamentals, and we also discussed how we should ask questions and get people to say the stuff that we want them to see rather than just telling them. HRA persuasion tenets, like the pillars that actually you need to follow while making cold calls. You know, the gap. Why does the economy take every single day? Why do people buy things? The four personalities, whereby there are only four types of people you will come across while making cold calls. Memorable first impressions, whereby you in the first in the opening seconds of a cold call, you're not selling your product, you're selling attention, continued attention, that is, and you're just like getting them to be on the call, essentially, you know? And we discussed how to do that. We also discussed fear of calling, why it's there, how to get rid of it, and how to actually be on the cold call, and like what's actually holding you back. We discussed all of this and how to get rid of all of this too. Okay, so that is the video. That has been the perfect cold call. I would suggest that you watch this video at least 2 times. Okay, to like fit all of this in your brain. So yeah, this has been Hassam, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.